Well, it's Tuesday Wrestling, and you all know what that means. Not only we're going to be reviewing NWA Powerrr, we got some interesting matches taking place where we have Kamille in a non-title match. Of course, we have a very interesting match, hair versus mask within the Misery Faithful, the Misery Faithful, and plenty others. And of course, we got 7 stacked matches on AEW Dark, and then of course we have NXT Roadblock, where we have, of course, the NXT Women's Championship on the line. We got a Jailhouse Street Fight and plenty others. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing 2 events that came out of the Pacific, most specifically in Japan. We have the Baka Gaijin and Friends Volume 3. Maya Yukihi makes her presence known for the first time, challenging Chris Brooks. We have an amazing tag team match, and of course, 2 tag team match actions and a performance that's going to be there. And of course, as you know, GLEAT, they have their the third version of the UWF rules matches, but they also started a very interesting thing, a tournament for the first ever GLEAT UWF title. So that is something interesting. I know. Now, those who are not familiarized with that, I'll get to that in a bit. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are coming up, what matches are being booked, any injuries, or any some great news coming in from the world of pro wrestling. But also, before I end the video with this episode, I'm going to talk about a little bit about a situation that's been going on with Stardom. You may have heard some recent developments that some trolls on the internet are bringing the wrestlers down, and this one needs to stop. So I'll get to that at the end. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lidet Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Lidet Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with the third volume of Baka Gaijin and Friends. Now, those who are new to this channel, this is a self-produced show made by none other than Chris Brooks, who is a British wrestler residing in Japan. He has already produced these 2 shows already. This is the third so far. And some of the matches, I have to say, I really was looking exciting for. Our first match, we have tag team action. Chris Brooks' fellow British mate, Drew Parker, teams up with none other than everybody's favorite monster, Deathworm. And they take on the Brahmin brothers. So it's kind of interesting. But what I did like about it is because I'm a big fan of Deathworm, about how he is as a wrestler and the entire time. There was a moment when one of the Brahmin brothers chopped him. He's like, mm-mm. And then later he tried again. It didn't work. And then he kicked him. He's like, "Bleh." And then they tried to get, and then both brothers tried at the same time. It didn't work. But there was interesting moments in this particular match. I think it was a lot of fun. But of course, if you guys know who the Brahmin brothers are, these guys are wrestlers that you may have seen on the promotion Freedoms, which is a deathmatch promotion. They brought in their toys to try to take out Deathworm in any way possible, which, frankly, they did. And they basically put away Deathworm and picking up the win. But I'm sure Deathworm will be fine. He's in high spirits. I think this is his third match that he lost so far. But yeah, I have to say I love watching these shows. Even though if you guys, I'm gonna try to put the link to that show, the full of it, on the description down below, if you guys are interested in seeing it. Now, our second match, we have Masahiro Takanashi teaming up with Mei Shiruga. They take on Chiko Shikawa and Mao. Now, here's the interesting thing. Last time that Chi and Masa teamed up was on the last show they did, Volume 2. Chi dressed up like Chris Brooks, and that kind of pissed off Masa. He doesn't like when someone is trying to impersonate his tag partner, Chris. But that doesn't end there. Maho had the audacity to dress up like Balinaki, you know, and I'm not sure what was the purpose for Maho to dress up like him. But interesting enough, while this match was happening, guess who was in fact watching the show? If you guys want to know, you probably see them, and I'll tell you anyway. The members of the United Empire, Aussie Open, Fletcher and Davis, and of course, Will Ospreay. They were right there watching the show. Trust. And there's a photo of Will Ospreay taking pictures with Deathworm. So basically, there's that. It was a pretty interesting show, but I'm sure Masa and May, even though they don't like each other, they do have a common ground. They don't like the fact that their opponents are dressed up like their tag partners. I think that kind of sets it off. You know, May Shiruga, she will not take kindly of Maho trying to dress up like her as her bro. And trust me, she gets a little feisty when it comes to that. But unfortunately, it was, of course, an inside cradle, an unsuspected inside cradle by Mei Shiruga to Maho to pick up the win. So it was interesting that change in that fashion. Now, we took a break before the last final match. There was a performance made by Landre Muto. I have seen this guy before, and I think he was wrestling at Ganbare Pro last year at the Wrestle Sekigahara. I'm not sure what kind of performance he was doing. I think he was doing like a bit of a wrestling comedy, but it was very fun, not gonna lie. Now, our main event match, we have Chris Brooks taking on Maya Yukihi. It's interesting that, you know, seeing her now because, as you know, previously, like a few days ago, she was in a match with Julia, but now she was. I have to say, this is one of those matches really interesting. Maya Yukihi rarely actually participates in intergender matches, but nonetheless, she did a pretty good job until Chris Brooks applied a praying mantis onto her and picked up the win. So I have to say it was a pretty good show. I liked everything about it. It was a lot of fun, not to mention seeing Deathworm, Maya Yukihi involved. I think it's pretty great. Like I said, I will post that link of that full show on the description down below so you guys can check it out, so you guys can see it. So I think that's pretty much it with Baka Gaijin and Friends. I think it's time for GLEAT. Okay, the show we got GLEAT with UWF Lidet UWF version 3. Now, those who don't know what UWF stands for, I don't know either. But think of this style of what they do as pure wrestling in ROH. Like, if you guys remember, there's like that where there's 3 rope breaks, you win by submission or pinfall, that sort of thing. So that kind of thing applies here as well. So the only difference between this with the pure rules and the UWF rules, you only have 5 rope breaks, and after that, but with the pure rules in ROH, you only have 3 rope breaks. So that kind of goes, what the hell, you know? Why do we get they get 3 and the ROH gets 3, and the GLEAT gets 5? I don't know, but that's how it's always been played out. But apparently they did set up an opportunity to build a championship based on this particular style of what they're doing with the UWF. So that's kind of interesting to do. Now, those matches will took place as the semifinals of the main event, the semifinal and an event of the show. So that's pretty much it. So let's look at what we have. We have the ladies taking the stage. We have Yuta Suzuki versus Maya Fukuda. Now, these two have come across each other before. There have been back and forths between them when it comes to the UWF rules matches. The first time, it was Fukuda who picked up the win against Suzuki, and then Suzuki picked up the next win. So basically, I don't know if this is where they finally end their thing. I wasn't too sure how this was going to go, but it was Fukuda who picked up the win by applying a roundhouse kick onto Suzuki, putting her on a knockout, and it was over right from there. So she picked up a good win. I'm sure we will see more of her in the UWF rule style. Next up, we got Minoru Tanaka versus Yu Iizuka. Um, Personally, we have seen Yu Iizuka actually been participating a whole lot in the UWF rules, but Minoru Tanaka looks more like he has a bit more experience in this. But surprisingly to me, I did not anticipate was Iizuka picking up the win by applying a submission. So it was a pretty good one for Iizuka. So it looks more like he is adapting more better than he ever was in the UWF. So we've seen him. I mean, I feel like he doesn't do that very well in the wrestling, but with the UWF, he looks more like he's adapting even more quicker. But he's doing both, in case anybody asks. Next match, we have Shinya Aoki versus the leader of 60 Seconds, Tatsuya Izuki. This was a very interesting match. I know Izushi has applied many times with the UWF stuff that he's done, but he's facing a guy who has experience in MMA style Aoki. You may have seen him in DDT on certain occasions. He was that one guy who took on Hashimoto from Sendai Girls in that special match, but he's facing a young competitor, and he applied the Fujiwara armbar onto him and forcing Izushi to tap out. So he had no other choice but to do so. Next up, we got Hideki Shrek Sakin taking on Seishi Ikimoto. Pretty good match. It was more of a hoss fight in this one, from my can tell, but it was surprising. It was a suplex that knocked out Ikimoto. Thanks to Sakin, and picked up the win. So he won by a knockout due to the fact that it was the suplex to put him away. Next up, we have a UWF Rules Tag Team match. We have team number 1, Daishi Hashimoto from Big Japan Pro Wrestling. He teams up with a veteran named Tatsuaki Nakano, taking on Kaz Hayashi and Rohan Fujiwara. Now, I have seen this guy, Fujiwara. He actually appeared many occasions on the UWF. He's, as we call him, an outsider, a foreigner, or in Japan terms, a gaijin participating in these shows. It was, in fact, Hashimoto that picked up the win when he applied the snare trap onto him, forcing Fujiwara to pick the tap out. So it was a pretty good match. Now, our next match is part of the first round of the UWF title tournament. We have Dan Tamura from All Japan Pro Wrestling taking on Takanori Ito. Dan Tamura, I cannot recall if he ever participated in any of the UWF stuff, but I'm sure he does have trained in it before, because the way he dresses, he looks more like he's done like a lot of the grappling style wrestling when I see him. But it was a spinning heel kick by Takanori Ito that knocked out Tamura not once but twice, and allowed him to advance. So Ito won his first round, so he goes to the next round. Now, our main event is part of that tournament. We have Hikaru Sato taking on Soma Watanabe. Now, to be fair, I had a feeling it was going to go to Sato for many reasons. The guy has his own promotion where he has a little bit of the UWF rule styles, MMA background, but he's good at what he does. But I figured he was going to win this one because he applied the figure 4 leg lock onto Watanabe. They have it proceed into the next round. I don't know when we'll see more of this, but we do got more GLEAT shows coming up. So yeah, So I have to say, hearing about the tournament is great. I think it's gonna give them a separate thing to do, unlike what we have with the wrestling stuff. Like, we have the G Rex and the G Infinity. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have for GLEAT. I believe it's time for NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. It opened up with a match with Trevor Murdoch taking on this newcomer named Beast Mode. I don't know who Beast Mode is, but oh my effing god, this guy is a huge effing trucker. I can't even believe that Trevor Murdoch was gonna face a big guy. Now, you probably can guess as a fan that this match would fall in favor to Murdoch since he has the bit of the experience. It could have fallen into this, but I don't know. I got confused over what happened afterwards. The match did not end with Murdoch win. I don't know if it ended with a no contest. This guy named Daisy Kill showed up, another newcomer. I don't know what's the purpose of him showing up to Trevor Murdoch and trying to rain on his parade, and then of course he teams up with Beast Mode to take on Trevor Murdoch. I was confused. I just never heard of this guy at all, but I don't know. I feel like the worst opening ever, to be honest with you. But that doesn't end there. We do see EC3 and Black Cheese making their way to the podium to Kyle Davis to explain certain things. And of course, EC3 was in a match against someone who has participated in EC3's promotion, Create Your Own Narrative. I think his name is Dante Smiley. But you probably can guess as a fan that this match will end with EC3 when he applied the purpose on him, and it was over right from there. Now, in the backstage, May Valentine applied an interview with our current NWA World Television Champion, Tom Latimer. Now, two things that she asked. One is, of course, is Kamille, who he knows for a fact that she's going to be in a big fight against La Rosa Negra. He said that he knows his lady. He knows Rosa really well. So this is going to be an interesting match, but he hopes that she remains champion because apparently he has plans. Now, those who do know, Tom Latimer is the current NWA World Television Champion. Now, if you win 7 matches in a row, if you're able to win 7 matches, you can cash in the NWA World Television title to get an opportunity of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, currently in possession of Tyrus. So that is the goal for Tom Latimer, winning this title. So that is a stepping stone that we can see. But we'll see what happens when that day comes. Now, as you know, we got continuing more with the NWA Women's World Television. Now, the upcoming matches taking place, we have Tail Valkyrie versus Max Impaler. Tail Valkyrie gave her thoughts about Max, while Sinister Minister, also known as Father James Mitchell, gave his thoughts about how Max the Impaler is going to crush Tail Valkyrie. So we'll see how that plays out. But that they weren't the only ones that gave their thoughts. So it's Ashley DeBras and Kenzie Page. Now, Kenzie Page goes out saying that this title is meant for someone like her, not for Ashley Dumbass. That's how she describes her. But Ashley has the same kind of mentality, saying that that title is meant for someone like her. But we will see what happens then. Now, we do get an interview with Medusa. She has a new book out about everything that she's done. But some weasel decided to rain on her parade, and that is that dumbass Chris Silvio shows up, decides, saying runting his mouth about how the Savages, Bulletproof Troop, and Jack Stain will obtain the NWA United States Tag Team titles. This was Medusa times. He just think he wants to put them over at the expense of Medusa. That's what I think happened. Now, we had a very unusual match. We had a hair versus mask between members of the Miserable Faithful, Gags the Gimp versus Sal the Pal. I'm like, okay, what is the purpose of this? I mean, I would have loved to see Sal the Pal ball, to be honest, but nobody wants to see Gags the Gimp lose his mask. But however, the match did not end that way. There was a basically it ended in a double countout. But according to Sinister Minister, he calls this his loyalty test. Recently, there has been developments between Gags the Gimp and the Misery Faithful. We just don't know what it was, but looks more like that's what took place. Now, our main event, we have Ruthie J in a non-title match against Kamille. Pretty good match, not the best one, but it did show the dominance of Kamille as a one-time champion, as she describes it. But she ended this match with a spear, giving her the chance to ensure that possibly Ruthie J will never get an opportunity. But as you know, we have Rosa Negra coming up as her opponent, but we'll see when that day comes. So I think that's pretty much it with NWA. So let's move on with AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark. This was not taken at the Soundstage studio, since as you know we've been seeing a lot of the stuff taking place with ROH and Dark at the same time, but it was okay. At least we had some matches taking place. Our first match, we have Sky Blue taking on Milo, who we've seen on certain occasions, but you probably as a fan can guess this match falls into favor with Sky Blue, since she is one of the stars in AEW. Yes, she applied the flatliner onto Milo and picked up the win. Next up, we got Brian Cage taking on Bad Dude Tito. I have to say it was great reference that what's his name, Excalibur mentioned him as part of the New Japan Strong. I don't think they mentioned him if he was part of TMDK, because according to Zack Sabre Jr., he is still a member by request of Jonah, but they're trying to work a way to either rename him due to the fact he doesn't have a British or Aussie name. So we'll see. But anyway, this match you probably can also guess that this one falls in favor to Brian Cage. But I did mention this before. I never seen Brian Cage apply submission before. It's all about the power, like power bombs or the drill claw or the weapon X or those type of moves. But recently he's been using a submission, and he did that with Bad Dude Tito. I wasn't expecting that, so we don't know what to call it, but hopefully he can give it. But that's how it plays out. Next up, we got Lance Archer in a handicap match against Cody Chun and Guillermo Rosas. You may know them as C4. You can guess this one goes where everybody dies. Lance Archer applied the short arm lariat onto Guillermo, and it was over. So, like he said, everybody dies. Next up, we got Konosuke Takeshita against Jack Cartwheel. Yes, guys, it's the same Jack Cartwheel from GCW and certain promotions. You may have seen him. I was surprised to see him too. But nonetheless, we have seen Konosuke Takeshita being one of the most rising stars in pro wrestling. He finished off Cartwheel with a knee strike right in the face, and it was over right from there. Next up, we got Big Bill taking on Julius Coleman. You can guess this one ended with Big Bill applying the chokeslam, and it was over right from there. Next up, we got Will Nightingale taking on Zoe Dubois. This one ended with Will Nightingale winning the match with the Dr. Bomb. But however, at the end of the match, Athena showed up to disrupt her, but it did not work. It failed. Basically, Willow actually pounced her off the ring and took the title, saying that this title will be going to her. So we will see that match soon enough. Then our main event, we have Ryan Bennett taking on R.A. Fox. Good match, not gonna lie. I mean, I like how innovative R.A. Fox can be in the ring, how he can adjust certain ways to put away his opponents, and he did that. When he applied the 450, it was over right from there, giving him the win. Ryan Bennett, nothing. So it was very short when it comes to dark matches, but we'll see what happens then. Right now, let's move on to our final review, NXT Roadblock. All right, NXT Roadblock. Open up with the Tiffany Epiphany. Now, she gave her thoughts who's going to walk out, certain things that she feels is going to happen, that it's just right, and yada, yada, yada. But the one thing we do know, she'll be paying attention with the main event, which is, of course, the NXT Women's title between Meiko Satomura as the challenger against the champion, Roxanne Perez. Now, our opening match is a jailhouse street fight. Now, Dijak and Tony D'Angelo have been fighting back and forth for a long time over the fact who will be the one to try to dethrone Wesley. That's always been the case. Now, whenever D'Angelo was trying to get his hands on that title, Dijak tries to get involved and saying, nope, I deserved it more because it's injustice. So that kind of sets the whole thing. So it was, of course, D'Angelo who requested this match. It was a brutal match, not gonna lie about it. But one thing I did like is how Stacks sacrificed himself to stop Dijak from closing the cage. So there is no any rules against it, but it just did. But it did allow for, of course, Tony D'Angelo to grab a crowbar or whatever he was using to put away Dijak and keep him locked up for him to win. So the obvious thing is, what's next for him? I wouldn't be surprised if he goes once again to make another play for the NXT North American title. That would be my guess right there. Now, we do have an interview with Roxanne Perez before her main event. Now, she knows she's in a lot of pressure dealing with someone like Meiko Satomura, who's done it all, who's been in the match. I'm like, that kind of puts in the whole thing. So she knows she has one loss against her. So that kind of sets the whole thing. So she has to be prepared for it. Now, recently we saw talks between both Kiana James and, of course, Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs kind of feels bad for what's been going on with Jensen and all this and that. So that kind of goes it a long way. So we'll see what happens. Now, we do get a little promo from our current NXT Tag Team Champions, the Gallus Boys, Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. Now, keep in mind, they have been pissed off many times by the Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly believes that those titles rightfully belongs to them. But however, Gallus hasn't forgotten back in their NXT UK days that they lost their titles to Pretty Deadly. But the obvious thing is, will history repeat itself again? That's the thing. But of course, the Gallus Boys really found a way to trigger they're triggered. Keep in mind, Pretty Deadly think they're smart, but the fact is, the Gallus Boys know one way or the other that the Pretty Deadly does not have the cojones to take them on. But apparently that kind of sets them all, and boom, shows up, and they got their asses handed to them. Now, our next match is a 6-man tag match. We have the Creed brothers teaming up with our current NXT champion, Braun Breaker. They take on Indus Sher, and Sangha, and Jinder Mahal. So I thought it was a pretty good match. I like how Breaker and the Creed brothers can coexist. It's like they are from the same breed. Now, initially, I thought they were about the Creeds were about to apply the Bulldog. If you guys remember the Steiner brothers, Scott Steiner normally has his opponent on his shoulders, while what's his name? Rick Steiner applies the Bulldog onto him, and boom, just like that. And nope, it was the what was it? The Brutus Ball onto Sangha, picking up the win, giving them a win. But in the midst of this match, Carmelo Hayes was watching this. Now, keep in mind, he wants to have a match against Braun Breaker for the NXT title. But later on in the evening later, Braun shows up, puts out a promo. Now, they're not going to waste. He's not going to waste time. Neither is Carmelo Hayes. Hayes believes, for what he sees, that he is the one who's going to dethrone Braun Breaker. So this match is officially going to happen at Stand and Deliver at WrestleMania week. So we're all excited to see how this is going to play out. Now, in the midst of the audience, we saw Dragon Lee made his appearance. As you know, he was supposed to have been there a couple of weeks ago, but he was having visa issues. Now he's there. I'm so thankful that WWE are going to keep him his mask, because the last time we had someone who had to remove their mask, it was Humberto Carrillo, who was known as Ultimo Ninja. I'm like, oh, But glad that Dragon Lee's going to keep his mask. I'm very happy for that. Now, ever since Vengeance Day, Grayson Waller has been pestering, causing nothing but problems. He's been on a piss-off mode since losing to Braun Breaker, and he decides to take his frustrations out on Shawn Michaels. He's like saying he is the savior of the NXT brand. So he invited Shawn Michaels to the Grayson Waller effect. As expected, Waller's mainly talking about him and all this and that. Shawn Michaels was trying to, saying, look, this is not about me. This is about everyone. And then he had to Waller had the audacity to call out Triple H's name, So that kind of pissed him off. But at the same time, Shawn was trying to play his composure and all this and that because Grayson Waller thinks that this is all about him, that the NXT is all about him. But Shawn Michaels begs differ. But Grayson Waller wanted a piece of him at Stand and Deliver. However, Michaels had other plans. He actually called in someone who was born and bred in the NXT brand, and that is someone we all know too clearly, someone from Waller's past, his ghost of Christmas past, and that is none other than Johnny Gargano. And I'm sure Grayson Waller is not happy that this happened. Keep in mind, Johnny Gargano left. Waller attacked him, saying nobody cares about his goodbye speech. But looks like Gargano's gonna get a little piece of payback for what he did all those months ago. Now, our next match, as you know, Toxic Attraction imploded. We saw Jacy Jayne attack Gigi Dolan, knocking her out. You probably can guess this was more of a fight, between them. But it was Gigi Dolan that picked up the win by pinfall. But by the end of this match, Jacy Jayne was trying to put Gigi Dolan out of her misery. Even tried to put the chair on her neck, trying to break it. However, the refs were able to stop her in time. But Jacy Jayne was not going to let that happen. But you probably can guess, this feud between them is far, far from over. Now, as you know, between Kiana James and Fallon Henley, there's been a lot of situations. Henley doesn't trust Kiana James around Brooks Jensen. So it looks more like Fallon may be right about Kiana James. But she said she has an idea. But the last idea did not go accordingly. So we'll see what happens then. Now, we saw a little segment with Tyler Bate trying to get DL to calm herself after dealing with Ava Raine. Duke doesn't think this is gonna work, but it kind of did. It kind of did. But Joe Gacy, on the other hand, was in a match with Andre Chase. That match went to flabbergasted loss. Even Duke was not happy how the results did. So I don't know how this is going to play out with them. I wouldn't be surprised if Duke leaves Chase University down the line. Now, Wesley, as you know, has been a fighting champion. He's been recently posting open challenges. However, one person decided, I'm going to step up, and he decided to do it. And that is none other than our masked friend, Axiom. So Wesley's like, okay, I'll put the open challenge. So that kind of puts it out right there. That's going to happen next week. Now, the match we've been waiting for is the NXT Women's Championship. We have Meiko Satomura taking on Roxanne Perez. I thought this match was pretty interesting, how Meiko Satomura was brutalizing Roxanne Perez. But keep in mind, as I said before, Meiko does have one victory over Roxanne. But can Roxanne try to keep it together, knowing that she's in a lot of pressure, taking on a vet, like Meiko Satomura? Well, she actually was able to overcome it when she applied. I'm not sure if it was a Kuma roll that she put on her and allowed her to win. And of course, Meiko Satomura gave her respect by acknowledging the winner of the match. But something happened. People are talking, is this for real or this is a work? Roxanne Perez kind of collapsed. All the refs come out to try to find out what's going on. They call the EMTs. Booker T, as you know, who's been like a father figure for Roxanne Perez, leaves a commentary out of concern for Roxanne. So we don't know for sure what was going on, but according to the NXT Twitter page, they said they're going to keep Roxanne Perez overnight in the hospital, but I hope she's okay. But we'll see what happens then. So let's see what happens next week on NXT. So right now we end our reviews here. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, first things first, we want to give a congratulations to Tsukasa Fujimoto, who is the ace of Ice Ribbon. Congratulations on her on the birth of her first child. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl. She mentioned on her Twitter page that the baby was born early as expected, but the delivery was a little bit painful, but everything's okay. So her and her child are doing great. Now, there is no indication when she'll be back in the ring, but all we can do is can assume that she'll probably spend the next few months or so, however long she needs to be on maternity leave, that she wants to be around her child, which is no problem whatsoever. I do know that Julia did mention to her that she likes to wrestle, but right now, since she's on maternity leave, there's still no indication when she'll be back to the ring or who will be her when her next matches will take place. So we'll find out soon enough when the day comes. Now, you may have heard about what happened at the Stardom press conference. Those who haven't, let me explain what happened. One particular match was a very interesting one that was mentioned. Now, as you know, Waka Tsukiyama, her time is almost up. If she doesn't get a win before March 29th, then she's being asked to leave the Cosmic Angels. Tam Nakano, in the last showcase event, decided to volunteer herself to team up with Waka one last time, and she told Nanane Takahashi, if she was watching, to pick the best partner. Now, it was still no indication who would be her next partner, but this time it did. In the second press conference that they had, the partner that Nanane Takahashi picked is out of nowhere, but some people might have speculated. It was Kairi. Yeah, Kairi is her opponent, her tag partner. To me, it's no surprise they were tag partner. That it would be her because they teamed up before. But this is what happened. Waka looks more like, in her eyes, had that shocking look, like, you gotta be kidding me. So she had this belief, realizing there is no way she's gonna win her match. Tam kind of encouraged her, telling her that she never did consider her weak, but there were certain things that she was lacking. But she was willing to stand by her to let her win. But Waka, who's been unable to pick up a win for almost over a year now, said this: not only that if she doesn't win her match, not only she'll be leaving Cosmic Angels, she'll be quitting Stardom. Now, Kairi kind of goes, what? So she feels like, you're using me as a stepping stone to that? And of course, she questioned her, are you willing to give all of this up? I mean, in a ways like this, what choice does she have? She hasn't picked up the win, and everybody knows it. But Nanane took this like, what the hell is wrong with you? So she thinks that she needs to stop messing around. She gave her a slap. And then, Tam stepped up for Waka, but Nanane tells her, the only person that needs to quit is you. And then she looked at Tam and slapped her. But, this is a very interesting thing. So I don't know how this is. I know many fans are hoping she doesn't leave. I'm sure that's what we want to see. Hopefully she does pick up a win. Now, this is a very interesting thing that came about. Someone tweeted this. Yoshi wrestler Saori Anou announced that after the month of March, she will not be accepting any offers in April, which was very unusual for her not to accept any offers. Now, few people speculated one thing only, why she wouldn't accept any offers. some people speculate that Saori Anou may be on her way to Stardom. Now, it's no secret to many people that Stardom has offered freelancers to come to their world to participate in certain events. I mean, if you guys remember, Rebel S Enemy were given an offer to participate in the Triangle Derby. That was it. I don't know if that's the case, but someone tweeted this about what if the possibilities Society Odoi would meet up with some old friends. If you guys don't know who those old friends are, this person put a picture of Saori Anou with her friends that we know. We're talking about Tam Nakano and Natsupoi. It appears that they actually know each other. I wouldn't pass if that's the case, but we still don't know what's the reasons why Saori Anou is not accepting offers. She hasn't said anything about if she's going to be on a hiatus. She hasn't said anything if she's going to retire or anything. But this is a very unusual thing to hear, that she's not accepting any bookings in April. But we'll just see what happens then. Now, 2 upcoming GLEAT events will be taking place later on this month. One is on the 15th at Shinjuku Face, G Pro Wrestling version 46. And then after that, on the 21st, which ironically is my brother's birthday, G Pro Wrestling version 47 at Gorilla Hall, Osaka. And this is the day where we see Unagi Sayaka teaming up with Izuki Aoki to take on Michiko Miyagi and Yukari Hosogawa. So, yeah, so stand by for those 2 events. DDP, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, for their live show taking place on the 16th of April, has announced that Miyu Yamashita will be making her return. So it's great to hear that she will be returning to that. We haven't seen her since last year when she took on Miyuki Takase. Wrestling Revolver has announced for a brand new show taking place on May 6th called Mayhem For All. It's going to feature El Phantasmo debuting. We're going to have Steve Macklin, Alex Shelley, and Sami Callihan, but also the return of Masha Slamovich. Now, this is the particular day that Masha issued a challenge to Sami Callihan, which is a death match, and Sami accepted it. DDT Pro Wrestling has announced for their 24th of March event at Shinjuku, we're going to have Konosuke Takeshita taking on, teaming up with Samurai Del Sol. You may remember him as, what's his name? Kalistico. They're going to team up for the first time. They take on Masata Takeshi and Chris Brooks. For the GCW Effy Big Skate Brunch on the 1st of April, they announced that Sandra Moon will be there, and her opponent will be none other than Steph De Landers. WrestleCon has announced 2 more guests, and that is Effy, of course, which I mentioned, and Yoshihiko from DDT. That kind of said it. Give me a minute. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Black Label Pro for the Observe This Brother event takes place later on this month on the 28th. Announced that they're going to have Spanish wrestler Carlos Romo taking on Alex Price. Now, I'm not Carlos Romo. He is not a Mexican wrestler, just to keep in mind. This guy, he's from Spain, just to put that on record. Oh, yeah. That's why I have my phone here. Interesting developments. As you know, this coming weekend, we're going to have ChocoPro 300. It's a 2-day show with interesting matches taking place. This is who that they, for the matches on day 1 and day 2, they announced. Let me pull it up. Okay. So on day 1, we're going to have 4 matches. It's going to match number 1 is going to be Tokiko Kiyohara and Antonio Honda taking on the members of Colors Yuko Sakurai and Saki. Match number 2, we got Sayaka Obihiro taking on Taihei Hamna. Match number 3, 6-person tag match, we got the Best Bros, Mei Shruga and Balinaki teaming up with Kenoka, or as he probably will dress up as Mei Shruga. They take on Shin Suzuki, Sawadi Kamen, and Shon Shiru. And then finally, our main event is the Asian Dream Tag Team titles on the line. We're going to have CDK, Masahiro Takanashi, and Chris Brooks defend those titles against a team I said that is the possibility could challenge for those belts, Chi Koshikawa and Sayaka. Now, for our Day 2 card, we have 4 matches. Match number 1, we have Miya Yatsuba teaming up with Masahiro Takanashi to take on Chi Koshikawa and Tokiko Kirihara. Match number 3, we have Kaido Oriyama teaming up with Tamura and Yosu Urano. They take on against Sayaka Obihiro, Dragon Sakura the Nobo, and of course Kojoyo. Hopefully I pronounce it right. Then we have Mei Shiruga taking on Mochi Natsumi, which I had a feeling they're going to meet up after the recent run-in. And then finally, the Super Asia Championship will be on the line. Balinaki has never beaten this person before. We're talking about Hagane Shino. Shino has defeated him in singles competition. This is going to be the toughest test yet. Now, as you all remember, Yuna Manaze is out on injury, and they were proposing to postpone the Ganbare Yoshi event, which is the first one they were about to do, which, of course, was something that Yuna Manaze was creating. However, Yuri and Yoshiko Hasegawa pleaded not to shut down, and they decided they're going to have the show on the 1st of April by the approval of Ken Oka. And, of course, Moika Aruhi and Arukaze, admire Yuri and Hasegawa for what they did. It looks like it's going to happen. The card has been announced. Here's the matches that have been announced for that is going to take place on April 1st. We have Yuri will be facing Yoshiko Hasegawa. We're going to have a tag match. We got Morika Kobashi teaming with Ichika Miyavi. Their opponents will be Moika Aruhi versus Ami Manaze. Now, this is an interesting part about Ami Manaze. She claims that she is the younger sister of Yuna Manaze. She's wearing a mask in case anybody asks. But those are reporting saying that this could be Rina Amikura. It's been denied it's not her, but whatever. Then our next match, we have Sayaka Obihiro versus Chiko Shikawa. It seems that Got to Move has loaned them some wrestlers. That's what happens. Then we're going to have an exhibition match. Moika Aruhi taking on Riara. This is a person that Hasegawa has mentioned. As you know, because things have changed with at-risk girls, Hasegawa wanted to build a home for someone like this person. Riara, I think that's her name. I can't pronounce it right, but yes. That's what's going to happen. So can't wait to see that. Now the match card for March 10th of Stardom has been already revealed. It's going to take place on Corkin Hall. We have a 3-way number 1 contendership for the future belt. We have Mitsuka, Rina, and her twin sister Ina. Now Rina has stated that she should be the one to go for the belt and win it. Then we have a 3-way tag match. We got Stars members Koguma and Momokogo. Then we got Odatai's very own We Love Tokyo Sports, Saki Kashima and Fukigen Def. And then, of course, we got the members of Rebel X Enemy, Maika Ozaki and Ram Kaicho. Then we have a match. Then we have a tag match between God's Eyes, Mirai and Sudi taking on Black Desires from Odatai, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid. Then we have a 4-woman tag match. We got DDM members Masakurai, Tekla, Maika, and Julia taking on Stars, Saida, Hanan, Azuki, and of course Mayu Iwatani. Then we have a very interesting 6-woman tag match. We have Queen's Quest members Azumi, Utami Ayashida, and Sayakami Tani. They take on Tam Nakano, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May. Now, I know there's been a lot of questions about Mina and Tam recently. As you know, Mina and Natsupo got along great the last time they team up, when Natsupo teamed up with Club Venus. Let's see how this with Tam worked. It's kind of very unusual. And then, of course, we got the Future of Stardom Championship Ami Sourei will put her title on the line against Lady C. I think this is Lady C's second attempt. We'll see about that. And then, of course, we got the Himeka retirement road. We got Himeka versus Natsuko. Now, in the press conference, there was dead silence between these two when they didn't even spoken. I think there's emotions involved in this, but nonetheless, they shook hands and that kind of, it was interesting. But yeah, then our main event is the Goddess of Stardom Championship. We have 7-Up consistent of Yu and Nanae Takahashi taking on BMI. BMIs from Odatai consistent of Ruka and Natsuko Tora. So this is going to be an interesting match for that day. Hope everybody is ready for that. I know I am. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'm going to do this last thing before I end things. Let's talk about those damn trolls. Okay. I have to say this is effing stupid and cause of concern. Now, a while ago I did report it about some trolls are saying negative comments onto the social media of Tam Nakano. Now, a lot of people were concerned over the fact that this is the same kind of result that we had with Hana Kimura. I did mention this. Do we really need another situation like this? No. Tammy even took to social media saying, I'm not here in the business of hearing negative comments. I'm here to spread love to everyone. And that is admirable out of her. But some people are stupid. Now, why are they attacking Tam? Some people took too heavily of Tam betraying Mayu. Come on, guys. Look, just get over it, okay? What's done is done. Nothing we can do about it. But now, it appears some people took offense over Himeka's retirement. It's happening again. Now, let's talk about this, okay? Some people may look at it a different way. Yes, Himeka's retiring. Yes, she's 25, 26 years old. Yes, she's young. She has enough energy. But guys, it's her choice. Her choice to retire. But here's why I feel like people are overlooking. Himeka is grateful in her 5 years as a pro wrestler. She hasn't had an injury. I mean, you can call it hallelujah if you want. But it's true. I haven't heard anything about an injury she ever had in her career. But she wants to retire healthy, and that is a number one thing for everyone. If you want to stay healthy, healthy is a priority. And some people think that, it's ridiculous. I mean, look, we cannot stop Himeka from retirement. It's her choice. Look, we already have wrestlers that retired young. I mean, we had that with Azuki. Look what happened. She came back. That was on her own accord. Do we ever see Himeka coming back? I cannot see a situation with Himeka, retiring, coming back. Unless if that's what she wants. That's not up to me or you. It's up to Himeka if she wants to come back. Azuki made her choice why she came back. But that's it. But look, if you guys don't like the fact that she's retiring, I'm sorry, guys. Live with it, okay? There's nothing we can do. It's not up to us. That's their choice. If they want to retire because they want to stay healthy as possible without injuries, I understand that. I mean, people can say, it's bullshit. She should have got an opportunity for a singles run. She even mentioned she never saw herself as winning the white or the red belt. And I understand that. Some wrestlers see themselves that way. But if you guys don't want to accept it, that's fine. Don't accept it. Just move on. Don't say negative comments. Keep it to yourself. I didn't expect her to retire. But if she wanted to, all we can do as fans, accept it. That's how it is. We cannot do nothing about it. So I hope you guys learn something here, okay? Because sometimes some people take it too far over certain things because we forget. Every wrestler here is human. We forget that, Look at Mina Shirakawa, what happened to her. She got injured. People were saying negative comments to Sayaka Kamitani to what she did. But Mina pleaded with the fans not to troll her. She knows what knows what she got herself into. That this was expected? No. Was it tragic? Yes. Is she going ranting about it? No. She knows what happened. We forget wrestlers are humans. But if you can't accept it, then you guys are in it for the wrong reasons. So I'll just leave it as that, because right now this thing needs to stop. Stop leaving negative comments to wrestlers who you guys think are you don't like what they're doing. Please. So we'll just leave it at that right now and just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we continue with more of the New Japan Cup with more first round matches. I believe one of them is Ren Narita versus Evil. I know their feud has been going for a while now. I forgot what other matches will be involved in that, but yes, we will see that. And of course, we got AEW Dynamite. As you know, they entered their fallout after Revolution. We don't know what's going to transpire. As you know, we saw FTR made their appearance. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ass Boys decided to rant about they thought they got rid of them once and for all, and they're back. That's the thing we could expect. We have brand new AEW World Trios Champions, the House of Black. Of course, MJF retained the title and whatnot. So we're going to see a lot of things. Not sure if I'll be able to do another review before that, because I still haven't seen the GCW events. We'll see about that in the foreseeable future about it. I'm going to be a little behind for that. But nonetheless, I will get those as a priority for everyone. I think that's about it. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.